Hey guys, it's Carla. Today I'm working on a canvas panel with acrylic paint. I've got white, sunny day, burnt sienna, English ivy green, admiral blue, and I've got black. And this is glazing liquid. And I've painted my canvas with a blue and white mixture, so just whatever color you want, whatever shade of blue you want your water and background to be. All right, so I'm going to start back here and just start brushing in some shapes. They're not going to be anything in particular, really. Maybe trees or weeds or just whatever. Just something back there. So I'm going to pick up a little bit of blue. Maybe a little green with it. And I'm just using a flat brush. And I just want to scumble it around and just create some shapes. I'm just kind of twisting my brush and going in different directions. Change the flavor a little bit with the lighter shade and maybe scumble in some here. You shouldn't be able to tell what anything is, so it should just look like a bunch of brush strokes. Maybe over here, some green. Might even put a little bit of this burnt sienna up in there, just to warm it up. Okay. Now with the larger flat brush, I'm going to take some of that kind of bluish color with a glaze and just kind of go over all of this to make it softer. And that'll give me a nice distant background. Alright, so now I need some lighter bushes back there. So I'm going to take a little bit of green, a little yellow, and just very loosely in different directions, just brush in some color. And I want to go about probably a little over halfway down the canvas with this. Oh, didn't mean to pick that up. I'm just kind of pulling in some color. I might even want to brighten that up now. Maybe just a little area back here. And I'm just kind of using the side of my brush and almost laying it down to brush this in. Okay, so I'm working from the back forward. So before I move forward anymore, I want to make sure that the back is the colors that I want it. So if I want to darken anything up or lighten anything up, then now's the time. So maybe a little bit darker green places. Maybe some darker blue. I don't want to get it too dark back here because that will ruin my illusion of distance. So I want to keep it fairly light, just some dark spots here and there. Okay. Now I don't want these weeds back here to be very distinct, but I do want to, I mean, like, I don't want them detailed, but I do want to add more than just that one shade of green in there. So I'm just going to kind of brush in some lighter weeds, I guess. All right. Okay, now I'm going to start on my water back here. So let's see, maybe back there it'll be a little bit green, a little bit blue. Maybe something like that. So it's going to kind of disappear back here, and I'm going keeping my brush strokes horizontal. I've got a flat brush here. And I'm just scumbling in a little bit of color back here. Make sure you keep your brush strokes horizontal because it's water. Change the flavor a little bit. A lot of this will be covered up, but that's okay. All right, now that has moved us forward enough to where I can put this little batch of weeds in. So I'm going to use a liner brush. Maybe put in some dark green. Gotta water it down or it won't flow off your brush enough. So watered down green. So my little batch is going to start about right here. And I'm just going to pull up and just bring in some dark weeds. Maybe some go all the way off the canvas. And now some lighter ones. Maybe some of this color. Maybe there'll be some of that kind of down here, just scumbled in. And now I can come back and put in some maybe moss or lily pads or something back here. If you put a little thin shadow underneath, then they can look like lily pads. All right, now there needs to be some, and I should have done this before I did the lily pads, but there needs to be some shadow down here. So maybe maybe some blue, some green, some black. So I can come back and fix these lily pads. But it's important to get this dark shade in there. So I'm just sweeping down. I want it to start right here where all of this starts, and then cast a shadow down or reflection down. And then with a damp brush, I can come back and kind of squiggle it around to make it look like water. Gotta catch it while it's still wet, but there. Yeah, I'm gonna give that time to dry before I put my lily pads back in. So now I'm gonna start on this bunch of weeds. And a lot of it is solid, so I'm going to just start with my big brush, but then I'll come back and put in more detail in the weeds. So maybe it goes about like this, starts about maybe right there. Goes to about mid canvas. Something like that. And then down here at the bottom, there needs to be a lot of shadow. And then of course there'll be reflections. And again, with a damp brush, you can kind of squiggle those around. Okay, now over here, I want these weeds to be more distinct, I guess, sharper, because these are more in the distance, so they're kind of faded off. But I want some up here that are bolder. So I'm just using the edge of my palette knife. Again, some of these will go off the canvas up here. Maybe some more of the green. Okay, now before I forget, I'm going to go ahead and put those lily pads back in. little bit of black in that green. And I'll go ahead and put these lily pads in. And they're bigger because they're closer. This is just a highlight on some of them, some that would be catching more light. Okay, now I think I can start on my flowers. So I'm just going to use a flat brush, a small flat brush. And for now, all of my flowers are going to be white because white is more opaque and it'll cover this background. And then I can come back and put color on top of it. So I'm just making very loose flower shapes, and some of them you'll be seeing from the full view, and some you'll be seeing like a side view. So don't make them all straightforward like sunflowers. And maybe back here, this has flowers on it, but it's, like I said, everything's smaller back here, so just use small brush and don't get too carried away with it. All right, now I can come back and put color on some of these. Maybe just a warm yellow. Now I gotta decide which ones I want color on. And now I can come back and put in the centers. Let's do the lighter ones first. I'm just barely tapping in some of this darker color toward the bottom of the centers. And then that same shade can be used for the centers of these. And now let me come over here and make a glaze. Just a warm yellow glaze. I want to make sure it's just a glaze though, because I don't want these flowers to be yellow, but I do want to put a little bit of warmth in the white ones. And then in the water, there might be just little things that you really don't know what they are. Just maybe movement, maybe shadows of something, but horizontal. All right, I think that does it, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, God bless you.